Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome back to Apocaflix Movies and the Marvel Rewind here on Apocaflix Movies. We are here, as we are every Friday, for our Marvel discussion show. And today we are talking about Episode 5 on a very special episode of WandaVision. The titles, they just trick me. It's not like Mando where it's like, the so-and-so.
Yeah, simple.
It's like a full-on title that I got to make sure I remember. And so I have it in the background there, making sure I got it. But yeah, welcome everybody watching live, or if you're watching the replay. I'm Jake Blaine, your host here on Rewind. And today I'm joined by two of my fellow cohorts here. The fourth should be popping in, hopefully, to talk some WandaVision. But first up, we got Mr. Jacob Bartley. What's up, man?
Not much, man. I watched this episode twice, wanted to take it in as much as possible. And just like last week, I'm so excited to talk about it.
Yeah, we have a lot of things to talk about, that's for sure. Mr. GL Ramos, what's up, dude?
What's going on, you guys? These episodes keep getting better and better. It's just it's crazy. I'm ready to talk about it. Let's go.
Yeah, we obviously have a lot to talk about. There's a lot that happened in this episode for sure. A lot of revelations, a lot of reveals, but also a lot of questions that are more questions that are being thrown at us more so than ever. As we usually do, let's start with some typical discussions. Quick recap of what you guys thought. Just a few sentences. Don't spoil anything. Don't say anything too much. We'll get into some big spoiler talk here in just a sec. And for all of you who watch, hopefully you've seen the episode because we're going to get into it. Gio, I'll go right back to you, man. Let us know what are you thinking of episode 5? Where does it rank so far for you?
For me, I think it might be the best one. We finally got the story moving. That's what I'm most happy about. The last one was kind of a recap of the first 3 episodes, from outside the bubble. And before that, not much really happened. I mean, Wanda and Vision are living their lives, but there's so much mystery and so little answers. In this one, I feel like we got answers, but then we also got more questions. But as far as story progression, I felt like this one was definitely the best one. I'm just going to say right off the top, the multiverse has started. That's it. This is the start of the multiverse, and I'm sure we'll get into all that. And it's nice to see more of the tension building between Wanda and Vision. Vision, again, just, not brushing these things off easily, these weird occurrences and, strange out of, just out of the blue stuff happening. And it like the audience, he has a lot more questions and he's really pressing Wanda. So I'm really interested to see where that goes in the next couple episodes. But yeah, I really enjoyed this one. This one, I kind of wish I stayed up. Well, I did stay up, but I didn't watch it at midnight. I kind of wish I did. But yeah, this was a good one for sure.
Wait, you were up at midnight and you didn't watch WandaVision?
No, I told you last week. I'm done watching these at midnight and going to bed upset. I'm
gonna start muting you here more often. Jacob, what about you, man? Just quick recap of your thoughts on episode 5.
I loved it yet again. Last week, absolutely loved it. This one, absolutely loved it. I mean, we all of us are. We're all watching this show for a reason, here on this podcast for a reason. But I love the MCU so much, so much. And this brings back that excitement of remember when the first Avengers came out, and then after that we had a flood of all this stuff, like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was starting, and everybody was so excited about the MCU. I feel that again, like anything's possible. And that they're setting that up with this show. And to me, it's I don't think the first 3 episodes could exist without these 2, and vice versa. I think the first 3 make these 2 better, and these last 2 make the first 3 better, because if you didn't have the slow buildup, these wouldn't be as impactful, and these wouldn't, and vice versa. So they keep getting better and better, just like Gio said. And it's because they're opening up, they're giving us more answers, they're introducing new elements, and I'm so excited.
Yeah, there's obviously a lot to talk about. I agree with what Gio said. I think that so far, and I've only seen it it's funny, I have probably about 15 minutes left on my second watch. I've seen it once. I wanted to watch a second time. I only got about a little over halfway through it. But
thank goodness it was 40 minutes this time.
yeah, and I do think that it is my favorite so far. They've all, and like you said, Jacob, they all connect so heavily that it's hard to say that they're like one is my favorite, because one is my favorite not without the other. It's kind of like a weird scenario. But I love what they're doing so much with it. They're taking a lot of risks and chances with the storytelling that they're doing. There's not a lot of people with this big of an IP that would make this kind of thing. And so I give them kudos strictly for that. But the way that they're doing it and how successful it is, it's really just like you're watching it and you're like, okay, WTF, WTF, WTF. Like the entire time watching it, you get an answer, but then it's followed with a question. And that's very exciting because it's always keeping you guessing. And I will say this, I think I may have flipped my thoughts on a lot of things I've been saying over the last few weeks because of this episode. And we're going to get into that. So I can't wait to talk about it. I'm super excited. Let's talk about the opening and kind of what happened there. So the way the episode started is it didn't start with credits like it typically did. It started with a little cold open, and we get them inside the house. It's full 80s now. Full house vibes, Family Matters, a whole bunch of other stuff happening in this episode. But we see Wanda and Vision with the kids. They got the babies, and they can't put them to sleep, right? They can't figure out how to make them, for lack of a better term, be quiet in the sense of a kid. They're crying, they're being loud, they're being obnoxious. And then Agnes walks in at one point, and stuff kind of starts happening a little bit. There's some breaking of stuff happening, if you will. Let's just talk about this for a second, because this is kind of a big deal, right? Vision becomes a little bit more relevant. Agnes kind of acts like an actress at one point, if you will. Gio, I'll shoot it back to you first, man. What did you think of this cold open to happen? Any thoughts?
Well, for me, the big standout is Agnes. Obviously, that line that she says, which I know you guys didn't watch the sneak peek, but that was in there, where she's like, "Oh, should we start this over? Take it from the top?" It's like, okay,
interesting. Okay,
you clearly have a hand in this, and there's more to that later on in this episode. But it's becoming more and more clear that she is playing a role in this. I think back to maybe it was the 2 episodes ago when she was talking with the neighbor. I can't remember his name, but that
was episode 3.
Yeah, and he's like, "We're here because," and then she turns around, looks at him, and is like, "No, like, don't," And so for me, that was a standout. And I think what we're going to talk about, I don't know, maybe we're talking about now, but next, I mean, the kid's growing up so fast.
No, that's part of this. Yeah.
Okay. I thought you were cutting it off right there.
She called it, what'd she call it? She called it the aging up, I think is what she said, right? She calls it aging up.
Yeah, don't age up or something.
Don't age up. Yeah.
But yeah, no, totally. And then again, Agnes goes totally over her head, or does it?
There's no way. She knows what's going on.
There's no way it goes over her head, because it happened multiple times throughout the episode, right? It happened later in the kitchen when Wanda used her powers. And she just kind of like went about it like, oh, blah, blah, blah. It like nothing had happened. It's interesting. Like I love everything that kind of happened in this. Like the stuff with Vision's very interesting. He's becoming a lot more conscious of everything that's happening. He's starting to notice more things. Like fragments are slowly starting to come back to him. Ever since the initial break he had, it's almost like once you break, you start to break more and more as it happens, and stuff starts flooding back to you a little bit more. But the Agnes stuff is obviously very interesting, because to me, and this is kind of like an overarching thing for the whole episode, but in this scene specifically, I'm kind of getting the feeling that even though last episode was hinging on the fact that like this is Wanda, like Wanda is controlling everything, right? I'm kind of starting to believe in the fact that she has some kind of hex over Wanda, or they made a deal and it's not being said yet. Like there's some kind of deal that's happening. But I'm really starting to believe in the fact that this isn't Wanda anymore, Wanda's doing it, but someone is essentially telling her to do it. And I feel like it's Agnes and possibly her husband Ralph, aka Mephisto, if that is what's happening. But there's also another character that might pop in at some point because of this episode too. But the Agnes stuff is very interesting, and it got off right from the get-go, Jacob.
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of things that changed for me with this episode. And I mean, we see it in episode 1. I think Agnes has an agenda. She wants to, I don't think Wanda's in charge completely. I think I think she's been given this world. Like, imagine somebody put her in her own sandbox, and you can do whatever you want in this sandbox. You can control this. But she doesn't even know why she's there. She even says it herself. She says, I don't even remember like how this started. But she started realizing what was going on. She's like, I'm good with this. Like, I have Vision back. I have kids now. And she's happy with it. So because everything that Agnes does, it ties back to the kids. She walks in for episode 1. You don't have any kids yet or whatever. And it's kind of, and then she shows up once the kids are crying in the living room. And then she's there when they age up the first time. And then she's involved with the puppy. And it just seems like somebody else is in control. Agnes is there to like kind of keep her eye on things and make sure everything goes to plan. And Wanda's being manipulated, but she's cool with this world because she gets Vision back. And there's other elements too about what we see her do with Vision's body and stuff in that scene. So there's so much to go into it. But yeah, I thought that was hilarious. I love when the kids age up and they cut to Agnes and she's sitting on the counter. She's like, kids, you can't control them, or whatever she says. And the music is on point in this episode with the whole 80s sitcom vibe. It's so like, it doesn't fit, but because like it's supposed to be like scary. Like when Vision breaks that guy out of the
norm.
Yeah. Out of his mind control or whatever. And then after they do that scene where he's all, please help me, then they play the sitcom music, and it's like, it's so contradicting. I love it.
Any other thoughts on this before we move on to the Monica Rambeau stuff that happened?
Again, look, Vision is asking her questions right before the kids grow up. You know, he's asking her like, what is all of this? You know,
well, and that was creepy when Agnes was like, you want me to run it back again? That was like
the whole mood changed. Like vibe. The music stopped,
and
then it just got like this very like ominous feeling of something, like a suspense. Like it almost felt like suspenseful.
Yeah,
and she. In the moment, it almost looked like Agnes was kind of scared of like, do you want me to do it? Like, do you want me to do it back? But it might have been like her playing it off because we know that she's obviously involved in some other facet. But yes, it was definitely a very and it was like that moment in episode 1 where Wanda ran everything back, rewinded everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that heart-stopping moment where you don't know what's going on.
Yeah, and it was like the choking moment at the dinner table.
Exactly.
And I love the way Elizabeth Olsen, I almost said Elizabeth Banks, Elizabeth Olsen plays that, where she's like, what? Nothing's wrong, Vision. Like, what are you talking about? I didn't see that.
And, well, she can't rewind it anymore. That whole thing is up. That's like a one-trick, pony. She can't do that anymore because Vision is onto it. Even if she does rewind it, I think Vision's still going to be like, wait a minute, what? Like, what just happened? So, yeah.
All right. Well, after the opening scene inside the house, we get to the stuff with Monica Rambeau where she wakes up in a bed. She's basically at the Sword headquarters after she had been absolutely just knocked out of the dome in the last episode. They're running some tests on her. Can't really get tests on her, and then they have to go to a meeting. And we hear from the Sword director all this information. They kind of run over Wanda's history. Funny thing in this note, though, did you guys ever notice that they've never called her Scarlet Witch?
Yeah, never.
And she doesn't actually have a nickname. That's leading me to believe that she's going to get it in this episode. Thoughts? Or this season?
Yeah. I agree. I think once whatever happens at the end, she's going to be known as the Scarlet Witch.
Yeah, I think she's going to get it from this episode for sure. Yeah.
No, I like that. It's not just some fancy name that somebody came up with. Like I got a feeling that this one will have a lot of weight to it. So Yeah, I'm with you guys.
And her powers are like that reddish color, and her suit that she normally wears during battle and stuff is kind of dark red. So it's not like totally random, you know?
Yeah, and she's obviously, her powers are very witchy, which makes sense.
Mhm.
And then after this, we kind of get to a meeting between, if I'm not mistaken, between the three of them, right? Monica, Wu, and Darcy. Is that next, or am I missing something?
Yeah, well,
Next, right?
Monica wakes up, or she's there on the table. They were reading her, you know, scanning her or whatever, and they didn't find anything, which was interesting.
And interesting thing here, Monica was kind of defending Wanda.
Yes.
To the director.
Oh, yeah. In that scene, yeah.
Which is kind of a big deal.
Well, even Wu was like not saying anything bad about her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
you know,
poor Wu. He kept getting talked over, and just like I'm trying to tell you guys, but you're telling it in a totally different way. It's just that guy really annoyed me this whole episode, the director guy, because I feel like we're past that now. We're past all this trying to make them the real bad guys and zero possibility that anything could be going on. It's just this universe is way past all that, in my opinion. But
so after they kind of meet this big meeting at Sword, we get back to the kitchen scene inside the actual WandaVision show, where Agnes shows up with a dog. The dog appears, right? The kids age themselves up again. And this is where Wanda uses her powers in front of everybody. And she's like, oh, it's not like she noticed it the last time. And she's kind of being a little bit more loose with this rule they've had through the first couple episodes. Could this be hinting towards anything?
Yeah, she's losing it more and more. She's getting reckless, man, and that's the last thing you want to do. Especially, man, I feel bad for Vision. Yeah, she's losing it, man.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, it's kind of scary for everybody else in the show.
What do you guys think about the kids aging themselves up for the dog, and how everything's kind of playing out with that as well?
How are the kids able to do that?
Well,
I no idea.
See, again, I mean, more questions. Is that
I think it's the brother who has similar powers to Wanda doing.
Yeah, so Wiccan, Wiccan, which is, oh god, I think it's Billy. I think it's Billy. I might be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. In the
someone's
chat.
gonna correct us.
I know someone. But anyway, Wiccan is the one who is essentially Scarlet Witch reborn, and then Speed is essentially Quicksilver reborn. Their powers differ a little bit. They have some pluses and some minuses compared to what their parents have, or from what Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver have. But Wiccan, we've seen it in a couple episodes so far, mainly episode 3 when Wanda was pregnant. All those things were happening, and people have been theorizing that Wiccan was actually doing it from the womb,
like the bird, the crane, or whatever.
Exactly, and everything kind of happening inside the house as well.
That's why Wanda couldn't control it.
Exactly, and even maybe when at the beginning of this episode where she couldn't put them to sleep, Wiccan could have been controlling that as well. And
then they were laughing at her like, haha, you can't put us to sleep.
Exactly. So it's time will tell on if that is the case. But it seems like the arrival of the kids are 100% playing with, thank you, Chuck. Billy is Wiccan. I got it right. Are playing with Wanda's powers. Like they're kind of interfering with what she's trying to do, which might be a big part because it seems like going forward, the kids are almost going to be the central part of the show.
Yeah, I think so. And it makes sense because everything that's led up to it, they keep mentioning children. And I never realized there are no kids in Westview. I'm wondering why. Like, did Wanda, when she took over the town, did she send them all out? I mean, we'll find out. They'll have to reference that again.
Well, and that's what leads me to believe that she's not the one controlling it.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Someone else created this for her, I think.
And this is obviously like following what happens in the past in comic book history, but Agnes, aka Agatha Harkness, if that is in fact her, her and Mephisto, they want the children as essentially bodies to use to take over, and because of their abilities. And if that is the case, they're not going to create other children. They're just going to create them.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think I think they want them to age as quickly as possible. I think whoever's manipulating this, along with Agnes, for some reason they want the kids fully grown, so they'll be maybe at the height of their power, possibly.
So is it Wiccan aging them up, or is it?
I think so. That's my theory.
Yeah.
So far, it kind of seems that way.
They do it at will, and you see they look at each other and smile, and then it just happens, right? So, and I think because it wouldn't make sense for both of them to be able to do it or Speed to be able to do it. So I think Wiccan would, because Wanda could possibly do something like that. So I think Wiccan could do it too.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, one thing we did skip over, and this is a big one that I forgot that happened during that big meeting. But the video of Wanda taking Vision's body.
Yes.
That's something I missed. I thought it happened later in the episode during their meeting, but it actually happened during the entire Sword meeting. Let's talk about this for a little bit because this is a big deal. Last week, actually, it's funny. Paul Bettany had said that there was supposed to be a little end credit scene for Endgame that was going to lead directly into this that had to do with Vision's body. This very well could have been the scene remade for this show that was placed in here for this specific reason. Do you guys think that she took the body willingly, or was she forced, or was she possibly protecting the body?
I think she went in there. I think she found out that they were experimenting on him, and she's like, oh, hell no. And then she goes and gets his body. I don't know if she intended on doing the creating this town and bringing him back to life, whatever's going on with him. But I think she just, because they said in that he didn't want to be experimented on after he was dead.
He didn't want to be brought back to life.
Or brought back to life at all. He didn't want to be used as a weapon.
Yep.
So they were clearly dissecting his body and trying to weaponize him. So I think she found out and was like, hell no. And she went in and took his body. Maybe that was the turn, finding out that, because she went straight into the Endgame battle, right? And then after that, after Tony's funeral, she probably found out that where Vision was and what was going on.
See, I think that it's being portrayed like she stole the body because we're looking at it from Sword's perspective, right? In the shot, you see people with lab coats, and they're clearly experimenting on pieces of Vision, possibly trying to weaponize them again. We know that in the MCU, they renamed Sword, and the W means weapons. It means weapons. It doesn't mean and I forget what the other word is in the comics, but it means weapons. They're trying to weaponize Vision, and I think that she was trying to protect him and be like, no, this isn't what he wants, and took the body, and then all the stuff with Agatha happens. And they use Vision against her almost, if you will, for whatever's happening currently. But I do think that video will come back at some point, and it's going to be from Wanda's perspective, and it's not going to be her stealing the body, but it's going to be actually her protecting the body.
I can see that.
I think you both are right, and honestly, all we're doing is speculating. We don't know. What were they doing with Vision's body? Or was Wanda under some kind of spell or something, mind control, where she went to go and get the body? But I seem to remember in a previous Marvel Rewind that we did, somebody said, and I don't know if it was you, Jake, or somebody in the chat, said that Vision's corpse could just be there, and it could just be Wanda, or using.
I think that's what's happening.
I think it was you that said that.
I literally think, and we saw it last episode. That shot of the corpse Vision, I think that's actually what's real, but it's being masked for what Wanda wants to see, or what someone is showing Wanda to make her continue her thing with the whole dome and
Westview. It could be in Westview. He's put back together and back to life, but in reality, he's not. Because we've seen objects change going in and out, so I think that's possible.
I can't wait to see dead corpse Vision again, though. I hope we see him. I thought it was horrifying, but I thought it was such a cool idea.
Yeah, I mean that hole in his head, man, is
scary,
brutal.
Right?
Brutal.
Yeah.
All right. So after this sequence of the video footage of Vision, we go to the meeting between Wu, Darcy, and Monica. Just the three of them. And Monica is trying to get back into the dome. She wants to figure out a way to get back into the dome. They're theorizing. They're talking about it. We get a quick mention of Captain Marvel, and it's quickly changed the subject by Monica, which is very interesting. Quick thoughts real quick on what that meant. Was she just trying to change the subject because she doesn't want them to know that she knows her, or does she have bad blood with Captain Marvel?
I think it's possible she never came back since the 90s. And she's mad about that. Possible. I don't know.
Isn't Captain Marvel the reason why the mom got cancer?
What do you mean the reason?
With all the powers and aliens.
So.
I mean,
hey, it could be possible that we don't know that yet.
That's very possible.
That we don't know that yet.
Did you guys see the theory running around that Carol Danvers, because the reason she has short hair in Endgame is because she shaved her head with Rambeau, and it's now just growing back?
Yeah, that's
possible. Oh, wow.
How dope would that be if she shaved her head for her best friend while she was battling cancer, and that's why her hair is short?
That would be great.
I mean, yeah, she's a real one for that. Yeah. But I'm confused. How do they know? Because there was a little fun debate, I guess you would. I mean, it wasn't really a debate. Like, it was just a response. Somebody said Scarlet Witch could have killed Thanos if he didn't order the Blitz.
Yeah.
And Wu said Captain Marvel could have done it. And it's like, what? Were these people like just sitting on the sidelines watching this whole battle or something? Like, how do they know all this stuff?
I'm sure there's like on it, like as bad as it sounds, I'm sure there was press for the Avengers.
Well, I think of it this way, like
after game like press conferences,
all these superheroes are basically like celebrities in their world, right? Like everybody knows who they are. Imagine there was a war and there was all this huge battle. Like I think it would be in the history books. Like everybody would know as much information as possible.
Interviews, Twitter,
and
quotes,
if you think about it, you think Pepper's suit isn't recording the whole thing? Like
there's definitely footage from Iron Spider, Iron Patriot. I mean, there's footage.
Yeah. So I think like literally the Iron Man armor and War Machine armor, they just record everything like surveillance in a way. So I think, or people telling stories, like maybe other soldiers. Like
there was a CNN reporter on the sidelines.
Yeah,
Wolf Blitzer was there.
I want to mention this before I forget. The theme song and opening was amazing. When the Vision part where they show Vision young cracks me up so much.
Baby Vision.
It is so funny when they show the baby.
That it's not real. We know it's not real, but it's so great. Yes.
Loved that.
Here you go. Here's a couple comments I want to throw up. I think Jacob was right. Monica is mad that she feels abandoned by Captain Marvel.
That possibly, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, you only have the whole Avengers and everyone on Earth,
But
Captain
she has a special connection to her. Remember when they high five in Captain Marvel?
I can't wait to see that reunion though between the two of them, because she's confirmed to be in Captain Marvel 2. So it's going to be very interesting.
This is a theory. I mean, a lot of people are speculating that she got her powers through Wanda somehow. Do you guys think that's true?
I think she might have gotten him when she flew through the hex. I also love they're calling it the hex now. I think it's great.
Yeah, that's great.
It's so much easier to call than the dome. That's the hex.
Yeah, I mean, and she did say like maybe Wanda wanted to throw her out to teach her a lesson, like stay out, but didn't want to kill her. So she like purposely protected her because she probably, like any just regular human, probably would have died.
Yeah.
And maybe just the mixture of going through the wall and having Wanda's little powers mixed with her, something happened.
This is a total side note, but I need to see this happen in some kind of form. I need a recap of Luis's Endgame events.
Yes. Yes.
I need Michael Pena to recap the events of Endgame.
Hey, Chuck's last comment is actually possible, to be honest, because why was she so like, no, we're done here. Don't further investigate me, That's actually possible too.
Oh, the readings.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Chuck, you might have just broke the barrier, man. Ooh. That'll be interesting. That'll be interesting. Okay, so next thing that happens after their little meeting, we see the clothes and the bulletproof clothes, which is a very interesting part of how all this works now. It officially is confirmed that when Monica stepped foot inside the Hex last episode, she was wearing her sword armor or uniform, right? Bulletproof vest. She had the sword logo. She had her badge, everything. When she goes into her 1970s clothes and it's hanging on the I'll just say hanging on a hook when she came out of the Hex. She shoots a gun. It's bulletproof. She said it was like 87% Kevlar, which is big deal. And it has been confirmed that the pendant she was wearing was her badge that she had on when she went inside the Hex. Very interesting stuff. That is also playing into the fact that what else could happen to all these other characters inside this dome, inside the Hex. What were they wearing? How does it affect them? What happened? And we saw what happens with Wanda as well. When she stepped out, she was wearing her uniform. She was wearing her uniform from Endgame, and it's been said that this takes place directly after Endgame. So very, very cool aspect of how this thing works.
Yeah, I think Wanda could just like change her clothes at any time, though, like even outside of this bubble. But yeah, that makes sense. She probably went straight from there to do this, or maybe that's just her battle outfit, like what she wears when she goes out on the field. But that was, are we talking about when Wanda comes out of the force field? Are we there yet?
I don't know if we're there yet.
Oh, okay.
What do we think about
we're talking about the
Kevlar?
Yeah, that was cool. I just think everything that goes in repurposes to something else, like to fit the era that they're in. And I guess if you have
that too,
yeah, I loved that. That if you have like bulletproof material, then it's going to transform into whatever else she's wearing, Gio?
So is that what we're getting at here? Like so when she goes in, her clothes become something else? Like,
so what happened to Monica was that her clothes, she's still wearing the same clothes, but it's masked with something of whatever the time era is that they're currently in. And then when they're brought back out, it stays the same, but it's her clothes in disguise. Because the 1970s clothes that she was wearing, it was all Kevlar. The entire thing was Kevlar.
This makes me think of a moment in the sneak peek, which I can't talk to you guys about because you guys haven't seen it. But for those of you who had, never mind. I can't. Let's move on.
All right. So next thing that happens is the scene at Vision's office, which is a big deal. And the email that comes through at the computer station that they are working at with Norm. Obviously, Vision has had moments up to this point of realization, kind of what's happening. And then they get this email from Darcy and Monica talking about Sword, what's happening. Monica and Darcy figure out that they can send something through. And then Vision snaps Norm out and he starts like freaking out, saying, she's dangerous. I'm in so much pain, etc., etc. Key thing there, he never actually said Wanda. He said she. He said she, which leaves open the possibility that he could be talking about Agnes and not Wanda.
I think that's true. I do. What about you, Gio?
That's just smart writing right there. Why am I watching sneak peeks? Because this thing is moving too goddamn quick. It's 2021 now. Sorry.
It makes sense because Wanda says, I'm not making everybody go to their dentist appointments and do all these actions. Maybe that is Agnes controlling all those people. So yeah, and that was creepy, man. And I'm wondering why is Vision able to do that? Like, that's interesting.
I mean, he did the whole thing with Ultron in Age of Ultron where he pressed his head.
Yeah,
and this could be some kind of similar, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe remember when Monica touches Wanda and then she kind of breaks from it for a little bit. She's like, he was killed by Ultron, wasn't he? And maybe Vision is an extension of Wanda because she's, having him be alive, and because of that, he's able to do it. I don't know, because it's a live being, it's not a robot. That was just interesting to me. But that was super creepy when he went in and out of character. and pretty sad, to be honest, because that means all these people are being manipulated, which is crazy.
Yeah, for sure. I have a feeling if at some point they're all going to break, and we're going to get that from a lot of different characters.
Well, and it makes us see that what Wanda, well, even okay, whether Wanda's doing it or not, whatever's going on is wrong. It makes it realize that, because there's this guy who his dad's dying and he wanted to call his sister and all this stuff, and who every individual probably has something like that going on. So and that's why it makes, like, even though the director, the temporary director of S.W.O.R.D. is like a douche, it makes him right, though. She can't do this. It's not right, you know?
Yeah. All right. Our fourth guest is officially here. Let's bring him in to talk some WandaVision with us. Mr. Brian Avellino has finally joined us.
Guest? Who's this guest?
A special guest calling
What's up,
in.
man?
Living the dream.
So you came in at a great time because
Perfect.
we just moved on from a couple different things. We talked about the Office of Vision, but we're actually now officially on the drone scene.
Okay.
We are at the drone moment in this episode. Monica, she makes this kind of like realization that, oh, I wonder if I can fly something in from that time era, right? They find a 1980s drone. Cool moment. It actually says Stark Industries on it. Nice little cameo there for Mr. Tony Stark.
Nice. I didn't notice that.
But yeah, so they get a 1980s drone. They fly it in, and they find Wanda and the kids. And then the drone goes dark, and then here we go. We see Wanda come shooting out aside the hex, and all chaos breaks loose between these characters. It's a different Wanda. It's a darker Wanda. It's not the Wanda we came to know recently in the MCU. She's in her outfit. She's full-blown broken outside of the television world, if you will. All the guns are pointed at her, and then she pulls a mind trick. It confirms she can control minds in the MCU, and all the guns start pointing at the director. Let's break this scene down a little bit, man. Gio, what do you think?
I really wish she would have done something to that director. But
Have we already speculated about the director?
Not yet. We were going to do a little bit at the end. So good time.
Well, I mean, that shows me that she's not evil, though. That she's not fully evil, though.
No, but they're pressing her buttons, and maybe she can't help it a little bit, Like I still think that there's a higher power than Wanda that's helping all of this happen right now. That's why, Wu and Darcy and others are like, wait, she's not all bad. She's somebody that the Avengers grew to trust very quickly. But as far as that moment, I mean, that's just bad. She just walked out of the damn hex and was like, look what I can do, okay? Don't fuck with me. Because, yeah, exactly. They're poking that bear. And you know what? It's only going to get worse. And that's all I will say, because I was about to go back to the sneak peek, but I won't.
Mr. Bartley.
This is my favorite moment in the whole entire show so far, when she comes out with that drone and says, "Is this yours?" and throws it. And I love that her accent is back, and it shows us that she is covering it up just to fit in. Well, she started losing it a little bit in the Avengers movies, and then it's like fully gone in the show. And I love that, because she's just covering up, her past in a way. And that was just amazing.
Stacey, it's called the Hex, not the bubble.
Love that scene.
Brian?
Yeah, she is a badass. Although I didn't take the turning the guns as mind control. I thought she just moved the guns, and like they didn't have.
I wanted to talk about this because obviously it seems like she's controlling the whole town, right? Which would mean that she has mind control over them. The only thing that I will say that counters that is if you go back and watch that scene, there's a red in
Her
their
eyes
head,
turn red. Yeah.
and that's controlling because those are her powers. Why wouldn't that show up inside the actual hex itself?
I mean, I don't doubt that she can do that type of stuff. They said she's a telepath.
Well, and what I'm getting at is that what I'm saying is that is a big reason why I don't think she's actually controlling the hex anymore. Because
I think whatever is doing whatever to her, it's increasing her powers to the point where she can't control it. And that's what's she's kind of like lost control. Like she has been able to suppress it, but something is doing something to her that she's out of whack. Her powers are just like
Maybe that's why
taken
she's
over.
showing her powers more and more, is because she's having trouble controlling it. So
Yeah. So that's what I think is going on. But there is one thing, and we can still talk about this, but there was one thing that happened before she came out, right before this, that I went ping to. So I don't know if you want to skip that or not.
Wait, right when before she came out of the hex?
Before the alarm started going off, that
Go
was
ahead.
going breach,
Go ahead.
breach.
All right, go ahead.
Maria said that
Monica.
she knows, huh?
Is
Monica. Monica, sorry. Monica says that she knows a brilliant aerospace engineer.
Yes.
Who's an aerospace engineer in the Marvel Cinematic world? Well, I should say Marvel Cinematic.
And they zoomed in on the phone, which is a big deal. If they wouldn't have zoomed in on the phone, it wouldn't have been a big deal, but they literally showed her texting someone.
who?
Jacob, Gio, do you know who is a aerospace
Either
engineer?
Dr. Doom or Reed Richards or both of them.
Reed
I don't know.
Richards.
Yeah. I
He's
think Doom was too at one point because that's why they knew each other from going to school there or something.
They all kind of have a background in that type of field.
Yeah.
It's mainly Reed Richards.
Yes.
But Doom has been portrayed because they work side by side with each other. So
Yeah, exactly.
So
Yeah.
the second I heard that, I went, excuse me?
yeah,
I was like,
that
was
could
not-
that could be very similar to the Doctor Strange drop in Winter Soldier, where it's just a tease
Yeah.
for something that's coming, just like a nice little nod, and he'll show up eventually down the road. But it's not like it's going to happen in this show. But if it does happen in this show, like my God.
well, if she is referring to that specific person, that means a lot of theories are kaputty.
I just had a massive realization. So Elizabeth Olsen's been talking about how there's a Luke Skywalker X cameo in this show, like there was in The Mandalorian. What if it's Reed Richards?
I mean,
Do
if John
you think she was
Krasinski,
talking about this episode though, or no?
No. She was talking about the show in general. Like at some point, there's a cameo that's on the level of Luke
Do you
Skywalker.
think she was referring to this episode though?
No, I don't think so. No, I think she's actually talking about someone physically showing up.
like if John Krasinski walks in and goes, "Hey, I'm Reed Richards," I will lose my shit.
And I don't think she was talking about Quicksilver at the end of this episode.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like,
No,
I mean, that's pretty
think
big though.
it is big, but Reed Richards would be a Luke Skywalker-esque cameo.
But it would have to be one of the old Reed Richards, right? Like,
see now, I think
Not necessarily.
I have a feeling. So, and we could be theorizing off something that has no importance, but my thought process when I immediately the wheels started turning was, okay, if it is Reed Richards, one, that means that all the theories of they got trapped in the multiverse, all that the Fantastic
everything
Four's
we've been
been around,
talking about,
all that stuff gets shot out the window. That means that the Fantastic Four I'm starting to think that the Fantastic Four are going to be built coming forward.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't think they have their powers yet either.
I think it's going to start from the ground floor up.
Here's an interesting thing to keep in mind too, because we're talking about Reed Richards possibly, like if he was in fact this person that Monica is texting. Who directed all the Spider-Man movies for Marvel? No, for Marvel.
Oh,
for MCU.
John Watts.
Who's directing
John
the
Watts.
Fantastic Four movies?
John Watts.
John
Yeah.
Watts.
Which threequel is heavily connected to both WandaVision and Doctor Strange 2?
Yeah, Spider-Man. Yeah. That's interesting.
wait, you think Spider-Man's gonna show up?
No. But that it's connecting to Spider-Man 3.
So
new
essentially
Spider-Man.
what you can see is that WandaVision, Doc 2, and Spidey 3 are almost like a
I
trilogy.
think it's going to be a new Reed Richards, though. A new actor playing Reed Richards.
Oh, 100%. It's going to be all
yeah.
there. Again, this could have literally meant nothing. But if they do
they
start
never mention
this,
it again.
yeah, if they do start this, you're probably, and I think it's a smart idea. It's been long enough. Build the Fantastic Four from the ground up.
Yeah,
Which, I mean,
I'm cool with that.
I'm not
actually.
opposed to, because, I mean, Fantastic Four is going to probably become a huge entity into the MCU since you've taken out Captain America, Iron Man, Black Widow. Like, you've taken out a bunch of heavy hitters. So Fantastic Four is going to be a pretty big and necessity franchise, not to mention what happens with Black Panther, because that was going to be, I mean, they'll still do stuff, but T'Challa was clearly going to be some big head of Marvel going forward. Fantastic Four is going to have to be big. If Fantastic Four falls flat on its face, like, they're going to have a problem. So, I mean, I'm starting to think Fantastic Four is going to be built from the ground up, and it's not going to be, oh, we've been trapped in the quantum realm for 40 years.
Yeah,
and
I don't know. I could see them doing like a Reed Richards cameo, or that was just the reference, and then we're going to see it later on. What if we see him in Captain Marvel 2 with Monica? Now, if this was the reference to him, then we know that she knows him, so that would make sense to me.
Yeah, I guarantee you the seeds are already starting to be planted for Fantastic Four. Like, they already know how they're bringing them in. They know what they're going to do with it because, like I said, Fantastic Four needs to be kind of close to perfect. You had the first franchise, second franchise, This is like, you're like, okay, third time this better work, otherwise this is a goodbye franchise. So I don't know, we are going way probably.
I think Feige's going to be very careful with that movie. Very careful,
and so
in a good way. In a good way.
Yeah. So to me, honestly, after I heard that, I kind of like didn't ignore everything else, but I was like,
Brian was not even paying attention, just thinking about.
I mean, I loved. It's funny though, because when she did come out of the Hex, acting like a complete badass, like I was kind of like, she would kind of be a dope ass villain. Like, just even if it wasn't herself, like in control, like just the powers alone, like that's gonna be nuts. I mean, they made it a point to say she was about to take Thanos out on her own until he pulled the blitz. And that, I mean, it's different when we've, and people like Feige, whoever has said it outside of the MCU, they said it in continuity now.
Yeah.
She's the strongest Avenger, period.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she might even just be the strongest character in the universe right now.
That's what I mean, though. Like, when I say Avenger, I do mean basically the entire MCU.
So
it's her and Captain Marvel, the two and Thor, the three of them are like the big cheeses.
Yeah. Also, with this, excuse me, bug. I took it as this. I could be wrong. They kind of confirmed that. I'm gonna kill. There we go. The twins are real.
Yeah.
They're not going away. When this is over, they are gonna be around.
Yeah, Monica said basically everything in there is real. The kids are hers. They're hers.
So that's kind of huge because we were like, people have been saying, including some of us, have been saying she's gonna go apeshit when everything goes away and her kids aren't there anymore. Oh no, like they're gonna be there. And they're going to be involved coming in the future, which makes me somewhat think maybe these shocking cameos or whatever could be actors playing those kids. In a way. I don't think that they're going to be Luke Skywalker level, which I almost kind of hate that she said that in the first place.
Well, somebody asked her the question like that, and she just said, yeah. Like, she didn't say that.
I wish you would have just said, like, I don't know, maybe. Because, like, I can already hear it now. That person wasn't on the level of Luke Skywalker. Who gives a you know what? Someone's going to come in that you're going to be like, yeah, that's 100% going to be you. And so that's why I kind of hate.
But that's not fair. That's not gonna be fair when they criticize the show because it wasn't as big as Luke Skywalker. The reporter asked her the question that way, so anyone who says that is just not paying attention.
I already think I know who it is.
We'll save that for a later episode, because we do have to get back to this at some point. Okay, so after the actually, real quick, I want to read a Streamlabs that actually did come in. This is from Mr. Brandon Buckingham. And he simply says, when Wanda leaves the Hex to return to the drone was so intense, the look on her face was legit terrifying.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's kind of the moment we've been waiting to see because we've been theorizing that she's going to kind of be a bad guy, right? That was like her bad guy moment in the show so far. Like that was very, very villain-esque the way that was handled.
Can you imagine if she would have actually killed the director?
Yeah, that would have been crazy, man.
I mean, they should have did it.
But see, I think the reason is because they're still holding on to that.
Well, if she would have done that, then it would have been all-out war to take down the bubble or the Hex.
Because they made it very clear a couple times, saying like, she could have killed me, but she protected me. She could have done this, but she protected me. And that's another example of it. Like when she got Monica Rambeau got launched out of the thing, she says, she could have killed me, but she protected me. Mm-hmm. She could have killed this dude, but she didn't. She warned him. So, and plus this guy, I mean, he acted on his own. He tried to throw a missile at her face. So,
and he says the missile was a precaution.
Yeah, I hate this guy. I hate him.
Okay, all right. Let's get back on track here. So the next scene that happens after the drone is.
Also one quick thing. Monica did not like the Captain Marvel, that part too, when they mentioned her.
Oh yeah. I think we were just talking about that before you came on.
Oh, did we? Okay, sorry.
We think that like she's maybe mad at her for leaving or something. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I think she's mad that she wasn't there when her mom died.
Yeah,
like that type of situation.
Okay, so the next scene that happens after the drone is back inside the Hex, and we're inside the house. And it's towards the end, and it's just Wanda and Vision. Or excuse me, before that happens is the yard scene where Sparky unfortunately passes away from eating poisonous leaves. And they're talking about death and bringing him back. And we have Agnes there. We got the two kiddos. Vision walks up at one point, and the kids are basically saying, bring him back. You're talking about family, and he's part of the family. Bring him back. And Wanda's saying, you know, we can't reverse death no matter how sad it is. It's not right. It's not something we can do. With Agnes talking there, and she's like, you can do that? Again, playing into the whole fact that like they're not keeping things from her. Brian, since you haven't been able to talk about Agnes too much on this episode, and we've kind of dived into it, what did you think about this scene and the whole reverse death, Agnes in general, and everything that kind of happened?
Okay, see, I see everyone saying Agnes killed the dog. I don't think she killed the dog.
Oh, no, I don't think that happened either.
Because I know Samir said it, and I heard Goddard and Alex Marzonia said it last night. A bunch of people have said that the dog was killed. This could just be me, but like my mom, when we had pets, like she always had azalea flowers, and she always used to say like, "Don't let the animals go near the azaleas; they'll kill them." So like when I heard that, I was like, "Oh, the dog literally just ate the azaleas." But the thing that caught my attention is when Agnes went, "You can do that."
Yeah.
Like it was kind of like, it wasn't so much like, oh, you can do that. It was kind of like, you can do that. Mm-hmm. Like it was almost like interested. I love Agatha. I love Catherine Hahn playing her right now. She's fantastic. She's like kind of one of the best parts of the show right now, in my opinion. Every time she shows up, I'm like, oh crap, something's about to happen. And she's fully aware of what's going on. She has her consciousness. I don't think there's any doubt about this right now. And I think Scarlet, well, I shouldn't say Scarlet Witch because
she doesn't have her name yet, Brian.
I know. Wanda kind of, I think Wanda in a way almost kind of knows, and she doesn't care.
Well, yeah.
Because in the kitchen she made the collar, and Vision's like, what the hell?
Well, not just that, but because you weren't here for this, but the beginning when she's like, "You want to run it back? Should I do that again?"
Yeah. So she's aware of what's going on to some extent, I still think Ralph is probably the actual villain that we'll see at the end. I think Ralph's in a kind of like using Agnes as his not Agnes, Agatha as his like pawn in a way, like kind of reporting back to him type thing.
His eyes.
Yeah, and so I'm curious. I have a feeling going forward, Agatha's gonna start to be more and more present. Like she was in it a couple times this episode, and I mean,
well,
she kind of knew
early, but she shows up when the kids are around, and the kids are around a lot more.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, she didn't mind that the kids phased. They almost phased again in front of her, and she was just like, whatever. So I think Agnes is being held down. Agatha, sorry, abbreviated as Agnes.
No, she's called Agnes in the show.
I know, but her supposed to be Agatha.
They haven't confirmed that yet.
It hasn't been revealed yet that she's called Agatha.
So you can call her Agnes.
Whatever. But I think she's a good character, but being controlled by
manipulated somehow.
Manipulated.
There's something that she wants, and she has to do this for whoever's in control to get that. I think
I'm starting to honestly think that someone wants Wanda to bring a dead character back, and that's what's going on. Because I mean, so far that's been kind of a thing. Like the dogs died, wanted to bring him back. Vision's died, brought him back. So like it's like she created life. It's kind of like this whole like life thing that has happened in every episode. So I'm like, either someone wants someone created or brought back.
Could it
from
be
the
Ultron?
dead? Huh?
Could it be Ultron?
Well, Ultron is a part of Vision still, technically.
Well, yeah. So because when Vision crushed him, in Age of Ultron, his parts essentially became a part of Vision, just on the good side.
Well, yeah, and the part that they said, part of you is Ultron and part of you is Tony, like that type situation. What if it's a literal thing? Part of him is Ultron. I don't think we're done. Ultron is too big of a character to have gone out that quickly and that easily, in my opinion. And
I agree.
Again, he is someone like Vision, where you bringing that character back to life is not that.
Well, it was kind of vague
crazy.
how he died too. We just see Vision kind of like I always thought that he locked him away in like cyberspace, like in a way. That's what I always.
I just think that it's not out of the realm to bring someone like Vision back to life. He's not human. Ultron, yeah, I don't know who it is, Samir, either. Ultron, not out of the realm. He's not alive. He can be brought back to life. It's not as crazy as bringing Black Widow back or Tony Stark or these humans that had a full-on death. They are not humans. They're cyborgs, essentially. So, I don't know. I think someone's trying to bring someone back.
I think it's all about the kids. Like, I think somebody wants her children.
Yeah.
And they want them
I think someone
fully
wants
grown.
her creating life, creating people.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's her kids, basically. But I think they want them fully grown so they can use their powers at full capability somehow.
Probably.
Going to be very interesting. Let's get to the final scene here that happens in the episode. So after the scene with Agnes and the kids on the street with the dog, we get back to their house, and Vision and Wanda are there basically in an argument, cleaning up a little bit, and they're talking, and Wanda doesn't want to do anything with it. She doesn't. She basically says, I can end this episode right now. She rolls the credits, and one of the best moments in the whole sitcom thing that's happening with the show, the credits are going while they're arguing, and then they just stop. It's so brilliant on their part. But anyway, They're talking. Vision is clearly conscious of a lot of things that are happening. He just doesn't understand why. He doesn't know why he doesn't remember anything before Westview. It's clearly being hidden from him that he had died, that who he was, what he was involved in. And then some interesting words also come from Wanda. The fact that she says to him, I don't know. Like, I don't know what's happening. I don't know who is doing this. I don't know of anything that's kind of going on around us. And then the doorbell rings and she's like, that wasn't me. Like, that's clearly not me. And it's kind of confirmed because lo and behold, we get the cameo that we've heard so much about, and it is Evan Peters' Quicksilver. His version of Pietro is back. And to me, that is saying that Wanda isn't controlling it because she wouldn't have asked for that Pietro, obviously. It would have been Aaron Taylor Johnson's. And I know a lot of people are saying, or were saying in the chat earlier, like, oh, vice versa, or what would you rather have, Evan Peters, Aaron Taylor Johnson? I think there's a reason. There's a reason. It's because she's not the one controlling it. It's someone else controlling it. And that's why Evan Peters' Quicksilver showed up instead of Aaron Taylor Johnson's Quicksilver showed up. Thoughts, gentlemen?
Yeah, it makes sense. I think whoever put him there was like, shoot, okay, we need her brother there. The real one's dead. Let's just pull this one from this multiverse or something and bring him in there. I don't know.
See, I'm honestly not convinced yet that that's going to end up being the Fox Quicksilver.
No, I don't think it will. I don't know if it will be either.
I have a feeling that's the missing. What did he call him? Witness.
Oh, under witness protection, that person.
Mm-hmm. I have a feeling that's the witness they're looking for, and it's just a coincidence.
Do you think they're just having fun, like
yes.
a little, yeah, like let's cast him as this character who's going to be?
Why do that? It's making it more confusing. You know, I took it as, oh, the multiverse is here. Like, this is it. This is the start of the multiverse. But
no, I agree with you, Gio. I think it is that Fox Quicksilver. I do, but he doesn't know what's going on either. Like, I don't think he knows. He's just like one of these characters in her world. Like, he doesn't know why he's there or what he's doing. He just knows he has to play this role.
I think it might be the monkey's paw situation, where this obviously came up in Wonder Woman, right? Wonder Woman 84. I don't know if someone made a deal with Wanda, or if Wanda made a deal for something specific. I'm not sure that this would all go out the window if that's not the case. But it might be a situation where she made a wish or she made a deal, and this is the consequence. It's not her actual brother, but someone basically imitating him, and being a Quicksilver in this world. But she knows that that's not her real Quicksilver or her real brother, and someone's playing her, giving her brother back, but it's not actually her brother. And it could be like the consequence, or the one of many happening down the road. But again, that would all be washed away if there isn't a deal that's made between her and someone else. If she is being controlled by someone, or if someone is controlling stuff from on the outside, it is interesting why it would be Evan Peters, and why they would use the specific words. Oh, they recasted him. Like, what does that mean exactly? But it does seem like Evan Peters is going to be involved in at least another episode, heavily. He's
going to be the Uncle Jesse in the Full House character.
Yeah.
Episode.
Yep. Who's the popsicle? That was so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was huge, man. I couldn't. Did you guys, like, when you saw the hair, were you like, oh,
I knew right away.
Yeah. I didn't think it'd be Aaron Taylor Johnson. I never thought it would be.
Well, even when they show the footage in Sokovia of them protesting, they
cut him out.
Wanda, and they don't put. I think they need permission from the actor to use them again at all, and he probably wasn't involved in this at all.
I'm sure it just came down to him probably not wanting to come back for just like cameos.
Yeah, exactly. Right, not a full role.
Like he's like, you guys killed me. Like, why would I want to come back?
Yeah. Well, I mean, he knows that he was going to die when he took the role, when you sign up.
Yeah.
No, I know, but his MCU time is what, almost 8 years old already? It's like, why come back? You know?
Every time I watch that, I actually like him too in that role.
Me too.
Yeah.
I would rather have.
Yeah, I would rather have Aaron Taylor Johnson because he's the real brother in this universe. So,
I just personally like him better.
It's going to be interesting the ramifications of this Pietro and it not being her actual lookalike brother from the actual universe. And again, we have to also think, how does this play into the whole multiverse thing? Like, does this open the multiverse? Is this just like a small part? Like what is going on? You know,
I'm curious to see how he reacts with the kids. That I feel like is going to tell a lot.
True. Yeah, I think it does somehow because we know this is. I mean, we speculate that this is leading to the multiverse just because of what we know. And I think if you think about it, Spider-Man Far From Home happens way after this chronologically in the storyline. So I think J. Jonah Jameson being there is possibly another effect of the multiverse somehow, maybe. And maybe there's like different characters just randomly throughout the world replaced with somebody else.
Stacy here says, my theory is Evan Peters Quicksilver because Wanda seeing her actual brother would be too much for her to handle because she didn't get to say goodbye to him in Age of Ultron.
Well, that's a good point. And also she doesn't, you could tell she's confused. She like knows it's him, but it's not him, like in a way. So,
well, I mean the hair.
Yeah.
Who has that hair?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Does Quicksilver dye his hair, or is that a result of his powers?
I don't think it's ever actually said.
And I know you said don't speculate. If the doorbell rings and I see a gray-haired Michael Fassbender, I will lose my fucking mind.
Magneto? Yeah, Magneto.
I will start screaming and running around. Like probably outside.
Crazy.
Like
would it have been a bigger deal if it was Magneto?
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
You think?
100%.
Because she probably would know who he is, right?
No, but if unless she goes, dad.
Well, it could be another thing where it's her dad, but doesn't look like her real dad.
We've never seen what her parents.
Well, they say her parents' names in this episode.
Yeah,
at the beginning when they're talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but you never know. It could be a situation where, like, I gave you guys up for adoption or something when you were first born, and those weren't your real parents. Boom, there you go.
I would lose my mind.
Okay, so real quick, we have two things to cover really quickly because that's the end of the episode. We have to talk about two things. We have to talk about the commercial real quick.
Well, also the fact that Vision and Scarlet Witch almost fought each other.
That was cool.
Yeah. It was in the moment of Vision trying to figure things out about.
I like the part where she goes, he's like, you can't control me, and she's like, really?
Oh, yeah. Paul Bettany was great in that scene when he started yelling at her. He was great in that scene.
Okay, sorry, go ahead. I just love
so we got to talk about the commercial with the paper towels. The Lagos paper towels. And then we obviously have to talk about, I know, Brian, you want to talk a little bit about the director, which we can go over quickly.
Asshole.
So let's talk about the commercial real quick because, and I know Brian and I saw this on Twitter, and it's very interesting about the commercial so far in the season. I know you saw this.
You mean what Nerd Chronic put out?
And so far, they've been saying that the commercials are the Infinity Stones, with the soap being the Tesseract. You have today's being the power, or not the Power Stone, the Reality Stone. The Mind Stone being the toaster because of
Vision's called the toaster.
Well, no, and Strucker because he had the Mind Stone. And then what was the last one?
The watch being the Time Stone.
The watch being the Time Stone. And that means we have yet to get the Power Stone and the Soul Stone. And I feel like the Soul Stone is going to be saved for last because that might be the kids.
Oh, damn.
I just like the what is, I don't know what the exact word was. Made an accident and you can't clean it up or something. The line, and it was like a slap in the face to her throwing the
Civil War thing.
In Civil War, I was like, damn, like that was rough. And then they
those paper towels weren't even working that well, man. It was
pushing it the crap around.
It's a very interesting theory, though, that they're connected to the Infinity Stones.
Hey,
Yeah,
I'll,
it is.
I'll buy anything Nerd Chronic puts out. So
I mean, and it's also connecting to all the traumatic events in her life too.
Yeah.
Like all the big moments that have happened. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, the loosest one would be the toaster, but Vision has been called a toaster, so it's like,
well, that blinking light was supposed to be like that Stark bomb.
The bomb.
Yeah, going off, and it was a Stark Industries toaster too.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see how they incorporate the Power Stone. That could be interesting.
Power Stone's got to come next.
Yeah, the Soul. We still barely know jack crap about the Soul Stone.
We don't know anything about the Soul Stone. We don't know a single thing about the Soul Stone.
Yeah, we literally just know that like you have to sacrifice someone to get the stone. That's it. Like that's literally all we know about it.
Interesting.
So, it's going to be something about the kids don't have souls yet. Like they're just creations, and then it's wild. I don't know.
All right, let's shift gears to the director real quick because I know Brian wanted to bring something up or say something about him, right?
Yeah, that guy's an asshole. I can't say I was kind of going like, do it when she had the guns pointed on him. I think he's a Skrull. I 100% think he's a Skrull. Like
a bad Skrull?
Yes, I'm like almost. I don't have very much proof, but I'm like so convinced that he's a Skrull already. Like he's just like all about like what an evil Skrull would like kind of be like if they had control of this organization. Like he's locking everything down. Like, and so he wants to take her out. I don't know. I just think I don't know why I have this feeling, calling it now, that he's a Skrull.
That would, I mean, it would fit tying in Sword with Captain Marvel and all that stuff too.
I'll disagree, but I'll throw out my own theory. I think he might be Ralph, aka Mephisto.
Yeah.
The only thing I have is that why would Mephisto be on the outside and not know?
Why would he try to aim a missile at Wanda, trying to like get her to turn evil?
To antagonize her, maybe? I don't know. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying right now.
I mean, that would be cool. I think he's just a douchey director. That's it.
But yeah, I'm calling it right now. Skrull. That's what I'm thinking. Head of the organization.
Here you go.
I don't know. That's rough. She would get in some deep shit if she did that.
Not if he's that dude.
You can't just kill the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. and be like, sorry. Sword, sorry. But yeah. Okay, are we done with that one? I have one thing that I actually really, really, really wanted to talk about, and that was like I was pushing my guy out the door so I can make sure I could bring it up, which I don't know if you guys already did or not. Monica Rambeau's 100% already has her powers.
Yeah,
you talked about this?
Briefly, yeah, but why do you think so?
Because the X-ray came back blank. Yeah. And her powers literally cancel out like beams of light and stuff. And what is an X-ray?
So the question is, did Wanda give her powers on accident, or did she already have them before the show started?
No, I think Wanda shot.
Yeah, that's why like when she got blasted out of the hex, that she got her powers.
Yeah, she won it like they literally made it a point to go like, look at her X-rays. It's blank. And you're like,
but
okay.
But what we're saying is that she doesn't know she has powers, correct?
No, she doesn't know yet. She doesn't know. Like that.
Do you think we'll see them used in this show, or they'll wait for Captain Marvel 2?
I think she'll use them in the show at some point.
Maybe she might. Maybe like she'll, unbeknownst to her,
tap into like one part of her powers or something.
The director.
So yeah, but she 100% has powers now. You cannot convince me otherwise. How does an X-ray come back blank like that? And even the characters went like, what? And then when she was like, "Can I have your blood?" She's like, "No." So like, yeah, she 100% has the powers that she will eventually become a character in this world. I don't know what they'll use her for, but I mean, they even said something, I forgot what the context was. Something about Fastos or whatever. And I was like, there's another one. Like, they were strongly hinting at, or photon energy. That was what it was.
Yeah, her nickname is Photon.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it was all like in one photon.
Yeah.
The X-ray was blank because her powers manipulates light and all that. And like, yeah, she 100% is getting powers in this, or has them right now.
And the Infinity Stones caused so much stuff to happen. They gave
100%.
Captain Marvel her powers, Wanda her powers. It's crazy.
So yeah, that was the one thing that I went oh, that's a clue. That 100% happening. This chick's getting powers. Like, expect to see her in the future. I think she'll be a big part in Captain Marvel too.
Yeah, for sure. Well, she's co-starring.
No, I know, but I meant maybe been some
second lead, maybe.
I personally think she'll probably be Secret Invasion as well, the TV show.
Yeah.
So, because she's gonna be a big part of Sword. All right. Well, I think that's gonna wrap up today's rewind, everybody. We dived into as much as we possibly could. To everyone who had watched live, you guys rock. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us on this Friday. Again, if this is your first time, there's a couple people in the chat that I've seen for the very first time.
Yeah,
we do this every
Hello,
Friday.
friends.
Every Friday at 4 p.m. Pacific, right here on the channel. We're breaking down WandaVision for about an hour or so. We also do this for Star Wars shows, and we'll eventually do it for DC when they do their shows as well. We have the Fandalorian Club, which is our Star Wars version of this show, and the Bad Batch will be
back in 2 weeks.
And then we'll be doing this for all the Marvel shows, including Falcon and Winter Soldier, Loki, Hawkeye, etc. And we do this Fridays right here on this channel. You guys can come in and ask questions, talk to us, leave your theories, and we'll definitely break it down. But for now, that is us covering episode 5 of WandaVision. We're halfway through, officially halfway done with the season. We have 4, possibly 5 more, because there is a rumor about a 10th episode that might get dropped.
I think
we're sticking with 9 right now. So we have 4 weeks left, and it is about to get crazy. So we're very excited. A lot of cool stuff talking here. But again, to everyone watching, thank you guys so much. Make sure you're checking out not just here on YouTube, but also on Twitter at Apocaflix Movies. You guys can follow us for all the kind of information regarding our shows. We also do a main show, movie show, on Tuesday evenings at 7 p.m. Pacific right here, Apocaflix Now, breaking down everything that is movies as well as fantasy drafts and watch-along, stuff like that. Check it out. And then, so again, thank you to everyone for joining us. For Brian, Gio, Jacob, and myself, we are Apocaflix Movies. This is the Marvel Rewind. Thank you again, and we will see you guys next week.